Hey guys, what's going on? It's Vic here, back with another Madden 20 video, and in today's episode, as you can see, we're going to be rebuilding the San Francisco 49ers, who obviously don't need to rebuild because they did just make the Super Bowl, did not win it. They lost to the Chiefs, but we're going to be rebuilding them for the sake of content purposes. So yeah, other than that, we have our coach here, Jimmy Jesus, named after Jimmy Garoppolo. So other than that, I don't really have much to say other than let's get into the rebuild. To start off, we have Jimmy Garoppolo here, who is being paid an absolute crap ton, but I'm going to rock with him for this rebuild because he already has a good development and is an 84 overall. And other than that, we have Raheem Mostert here that should be a star development, but I'm not going to make any changes, and a lot of depth. Raheem Mostert is pretty fast, I do believe, 94 speed, and is a pretty good running back, so I think he should be at least star development. We have Deebo Samuel here and Dante Pettis, I believe it is. George Kittle, who is probably arguably the best tight end in the NFL, and Trent Williams. And Nick Bosa here, who's probably an X Factor. Richard Sherman, who is an X Factor. And everyone else here looks pretty good, as Javon Kinlaw is here, who I will move to a star development because the roster that I downloaded doesn't update the rookies' contract lengths to the right year and doesn't update the development to the right development that they should be at. And D Ford is a second string defensive end right here. So I'm going to move him to an outside linebacker position to where he could actually play and actually use his superstar ability, edge threat, than rather just sitting on the bench. So I'm going to move him to right outside linebacker. And overall, this linebacking core is pretty great in my opinion with Fred Warner. And do they still have, I guess they don't have Foster anymore, Reuben Foster. I don't know where he went. And there's Jaquiski Tart and something Ward. I don't know what it was. That's their safeties. But anyways, other than that, it is time to get into the trades. For the first trade, we have Tevin Coleman and McKinnon for a first, a 5, and a 7 from the Chargers. They're just depth halfbacks. We don't really need them. They're not that important. Next, we have Ward, our strong safety, Jaquiski Tart, a first from the Jaguars, a center, and a 5th round pick. I think our first will be worth less than the Jaguars' first. Next, we have our center, our right end, and for the Cardinals, 5th pick in the draft and a 5th round pick. Sorry, that was kind of weird. Next, this is what the team looks like after the trades. Not too many big trades going along there other than getting a new center, which was helpful because we did trade our center because he took up more cap room than the Jaguar center, so it's perfect for us. And other than that, this defensive line is pretty great. Linebacking core is great, though the secondary does need help. We can pick that up in the draft. And for special teams, I'm going to move Deebo Samuel up to starting punt returner so that way he can get more reps and upgrade his development faster. So other than that, it is time to get into the midseason mark. In the midseason mark, we are 4-3, coming off a loss to the Carolina Panthers, and we are also at the top of the division, beating the Cardinals, who we are also about to play. And Eric Armstead is here, and he's always seems to be in Madden free agency. I don't know why, other than, of course, the cap room, so that's probably it. Just like how Richard Sherman is always there. But we're going to make sure that we keep him in this, even if that means we have to make trades. But as I can see right now, we have $8 million in cap room. I'm going to extend that, and we are going to re-sign him, as he does re-sign, and there's no one else here that I really want. So other than that, it is time to get into the playoffs. As we make the playoffs in the first year, finishing 9-6-1, coming off a loss to the Seattle Seahawks, as we are about to play the 11-5 New York Giants. But before, we had a great season. Offensively, we were 11th. Defensively, we were also 11th. And Jimmy Garoppolo had a lot of turnovers with 18 interceptions. Raheem Mostert had a pretty good season. Receiving-wise, Kendrick Bourne over 1,000 yards. And he was in free agency, so we may need to re-sign him. Fred Warner with the most tackles. Tackles for a loss goes to 18 for Javon Kinlaw. Sacks, 11 for Eric Armstead. Interceptions, 3 for Richard Sherman. And safeties is 1 for Nick Bosa and 1 for Eric Armstead. And 0 defensive touchdowns. So other than that, let's just sim this Madden simulation with the Giants. I don't expect us to win in the first year because obviously our quarterback is only an 84 overall. So yeah, we did lose losing 24-20, very close. But other than that, it is time to get into the offseason. In the offseason here, as the Patriots win the Super Bowl against the Packers 33-21, we have Kendrick Bourne here, who was our only receiver that broke 1,000 yards. So I did want to give him a contract, but again, we don't have any cap. So once we get into free agency, we won't have a lot of money. So this is what the team looks like before free agency to see if there's any development upgrades, as Deebo Samuel only has star development, and everyone else looks pretty good here. And Nick Bosa has superstar X Factor, 91 overall already, strip specialist, finesse specialist with unstoppable force. And Moore got a development upgrade to star. And other than that, it is time to get into the draft. Now, into the draft, we have Cam Harold, ranked number 2 in the class, picked him at 14, 77 overall, hidden development, which is our right outside linebacker. And next, we will be getting into a trade. Now, for the trade, we just drafted a right outside linebacker, so we're trading D Ford, a 4th, for the Giants' first-round pick because I want to pick a receiver. Also, D Ford is pretty old, and he has already started regressing. Next, this is what the team looks like after the draft, as I did end up picking a right guard instead of a receiver in the draft, and a left guard as well. And we did get the right outside linebacker who can play middle linebacker and right outside linebacker, which is perfect for us. So anyways, other than that, it is time to get into some trades. Now into some trades, we're trading Raheem Mostert, K'Wan Alexander, and a second-round pick for Le'Veon Bell. We need a halfback that's good for Madden Sim, and K'Wan Alexander takes up $13 million in cap, which we don't need. Next, we have Jason Verrett and something Williams, I don't know his first name, both cornerbacks going to the Raiders, who are both taking up a lot of cap and are both regressing. Now here in the mid-season mark for the 2020 season, as we are apparently on a losing streak coming off a loss to the Seattle Seahawks, as we are second in the division behind the Seattle Seahawks. We have players to resign here. Obviously, George Kittle is number 1. And George Kittle, 5 years. I'm going to bump that to 7 and increase his salary. He says he wants to stay with the organization, which I'm happy to do. 98 overall X Factor, I obviously want to bring back. Richard Sherman, 92 overall X Factor was shut down. I'm going to offer him 3 years. He wants more salary. I'm probably going to reduce that to 2 years in the offseason. Trent Williams is here. We're obviously going to want to keep him. 2 years seems good to me. He was hoping for, he gets it. Kyle Juszczyk, probably and most definitely the best fullback in the NFL. I'm going to offer him 3 years, and he stays as well. Some rookies should not be here. Emmanuel Mosley, he's relatively cheap for a rotational cornerback, and I just don't want to pick him up in free agency. So he wants more money, so I guess he's not going to sign with us. And Witherspoon, I'm just not going to resign, so I guess I will just pick them up in free agency. So other than that, we have some players to resign in the offseason, so let's get into it. Now here in the playoffs, we do not make it, coming off a loss to the Saints 34-20, as we finish 6-10 behind the Seattle Seahawks. And Jimmy Garoppolo definitely had a down season from last season. We had the 19th offense and the 15th defense. Le'Veon Bell didn't seem to do too good either, though the interceptions did go down. Le'Veon Bell had a solid season, and George Kittle had an okay season, though Deebo Samuel had 12 touchdowns. Defensively, Fred Warner with the most tackles. Tackles for loss goes to 17 for Javon Kinlaw. Sacks, 9 for Eric Armstead. Interceptions, 6 for Richard Sherman, which is a lot. Safeties, 0. Defensive touchdowns, 0. So other than that, it is time to get into the offseason and see which players we need to resign, such as the cornerbacks. So in the offseason, we do have the cornerbacks here to re-sign, as the Browns win the Super Bowl 28-24 against the Washington Redskins. Richard Sherman's here. I'm going to bump up his salary and take down a year because he did regress from a 92 to a 88, which is a huge difference. He re-signs with us. Emmanuel Mosley and Witherspoon I do not want. And other than that, it is time to get into free agency. Now, after free agency, this is what the team looks like, as Deebo Samuel has superstar development now, and Eric Armstead has superstar development. We got Garin Conley and Darnell Wormley, and Harold apparently has superstar development. I believe he just got that from the draft, and he has Secure Tacular as his superstar ability, so that's pretty good for us. And we did pick up Will Lutz because Robbie Gould is regressing because he's 38 years old, so we're going to cut him. We do take a $1.5 mil penalty, but we free up $3.5 mil. The punter, do we need to cut him? No, he's fine. He doesn't take up much cap, so it doesn't really matter. So it is time to get into the draft. Now, here in the draft, we pick up a defensive tackle, Mac Rossum. If I'm saying that wrong, don't rage at me. He's the number 1 player in the class. We picked him at number 5, 78 overall, hidden development. Next, we have Parrish Glass, a wide receiver, 76 overall, hidden development, 21 years old, ranked number 8 in the class. We picked him at number 7. I think he's going to be pretty good for us. Next, this is what the team looks like after the draft. As you can see, Parrish Glass is starting now, and Le'Veon Bell is here. And everyone else looks good. Yeah, I don't really have any complaints, and I do expect us to make the playoffs in this season. So let's get into the midseason mark. Next, in the midseason mark, we're coming off a loss to the Seattle Seahawks yet again, and we are finishing with a very bad record, even though we have an 89 overall team. Finishing 2-6 with an 89 overall team amazes me. Fred Warner here. Fred Warner is here. We're going to extend him to 7 years, so that way he accepts the contract, and he likes the contract. Javon Kinlaw should not be here, so I will change his yearly. I should not have to re-sign him until next year. Dante Pettis is here, and we do want to re-sign him. His hair is apparently green, according to Madden Sim, but in real life, it looks pink, I guess. I don't know if he changed it, but Travius Moore is here. Very cheap contract for our star development free safety. Jarius Sneed should not be here. Lakeland Tomlinson, I don't need him because he's a second string. He's wanting a lot of money for a second string guard. And other than that, it is time to get into the playoffs. Now into the playoffs, we do not make it, losing, coming off a loss to the Titans 28-27 with a 90 overall team. This does amaze me again. Finishing 6-10 yet again. And Jimmy Garoppolo had a pretty good season. Offensively, we were 11th, and defensively, we were 2nd. That surprises me, actually. Jimmy Garoppolo, 12 interceptions, 30 touchdowns. Le'Veon Bell, over 1,000 yards, but 1 touchdown. That's really weird. Okay, I guess. Deebo Samuel, over 1,000 yards, 5 touchdowns. Great season. Defensively, most tackles goes to Dre Greenlaw. Tackles for loss, 14 for Javon Kinlaw. Sacks, 11 for Nick Bosa. Interceptions, 3 for Richard Sherman. Safeties, 1 for Cam Harold. And defensive touchdowns, 0. So other than that, it is time to get into the offseason. I'm going all in for the last year like I usually do. So here in the offseason, as the Browns win the Super Bowl against the Packers 38-16, we have some players to resign, but I don't have much interest in any of them as Lake Tomlinson does go down a hole overall, so I'm not going to keep him as a second string guard. We have an 89 overall team, 91 offense. And Jimmy Garoppolo is now a superstar development, and Trent Williams did happen to retire, which is unfortunate. And Parrish Glass is now a star development player. And Fred Warner is 97 overall, and Richard Sherman has regressed even more. Now, as you guys can see, I traded away Jimmy Garoppolo, a 3 and a 6 for a first and a first from the Jaguars. Now, you guys are all raging at me, like, why would you trade away your franchise quarterback? But until you guys see the moves I made in free agency, you can't really judge me, so let's get into that. Now, after free agency, we picked up 91 overall superstar X-Factor Baker Mayfield with the fearless ability, and he also has lofting Deadeye, anchored extender, and homer. So much better pickup than Jimmy Garoppolo. And we have Mitchell Schwartz here, who is going to be our left tackle, 92 overall superstar X Factor. And we have Marlon Mack and CeeDee Lamb as well. Defensively, we have Chris Harris Jr. as well, and in the draft, we're going to focus on a right outside linebacker and strong safety. If we can do that, we're going to trade away our picks, obviously. So let's get into the draft. Now, into the draft, as you can see, we are trading away a first-round pick for Chandler Jones himself, and we do need a right outside linebacker, a superstar X-Factor, an edge rusher would be perfect for us, so that is what we are going to do. Next, we have a first, and a first for Derwin James, and I know it says trade declined, but for some reason it says we're exceeding salary cap, which makes no sense to me during the draft because we have 17 mil and so do the Chargers have 18 mil, so I'm going to fix that. So after the draft, I fixed it to where Derwin James is on our team, and I traded all 3 of my first round picks away just for their 7th, so that way they could have them. And I got Chandler Jones, and I have Derwin James Jr. here. So other than that, it is time to get into the midseason mark, and we are guaranteed going into the playoffs with this team. Next, in the midseason mark, we are 7-0, coming off a win to the Broncos, 25-7, as we are in top of the division, leading against the Seattle Seahawks, who are 6-2. Now, all these players here, I don't need to resign, like every 4th season, every rebuild that I do. So other than that, let's just dive straight in to the playoffs. Now into the playoffs as we get up and by, coming off a win to the Carolina Panthers, 21-3, as we finish 14-2 over the 11-5 Seahawks. Very highly contested division with the Cardinals at 10-6. Baker Mayfield had a solid season, 12th best offense and the best defense in the NFL. Not surprised by that. Baker Mayfield again solid. Le'Veon Bell had a great season with 17 touchdowns. Deebo Samuel had a season. And defensively, Fred Warner, 99 tackles, most tackles on the team. Most tackles for a loss goes to 14 for Javon Kinlaw. Sacks, 13 for Eric Armstead. Interceptions, 3 for Richard Sherman. And safeties, 0. Defensive touchdowns, 0. So other than that, let's just dive straight into this divisional round. Sim the wild card, see who we are going to be playing as we are 14-2. Simming the wild card round, we have 6 Cardinals, as we have Richard Sherman here who wants something to say as a veteran player. He's probably just going to get a max out morale boost like he normally does, and he does. So that's going to help us during this game, and we have players to upgrade, so I'm just going to hit Y and let the CPU upgrade him. Frederick Hart is now upgraded, I guess, and we have the Arizona Cardinals to play, so let's just jump straight into this game. Now in this game, we are up 24-3 as the Cardinals come down again, 24-10 as we are driving down the field. Red zone alert, 31-10, and it's now 17-31. I think we got this one in the bag. 2 minutes left in the game, 17-38, and that will be your ball game. 17-38 is your final score, as Baker Mayfield had a great game over Kyler Murray. And let's get into the next game. In the next game, we are here facing the Chicago Bears in the Conference Championship, NFC Conference Championship to be specific, and I'm not going to waste any time as they are 10-6 and we are 14-2, so let's get into the game. Now in the game, it is 10-16, 10-19, 17-19. This is a very close game. I'm actually kind of getting worried here, but I'm just going to keep hitting skip as it is 17-22, and still 17-22 as we got to drive down the field and the game is on the line. So I'm going to hop in here and hold on to the ball. So I held on to the ball and ran out the clock, really. I kicked a field goal at the end, and your final score is 17-28 with us on top, and it's time to get into the Super Bowl. Now into the Super Bowl, we are facing, ironically, the Kansas City Chiefs, who are 13-3 with a 94 overall team. And looking into the team, Baker Mayfield is 94 overall. Deebo Samuel is superstar with 94 overall as well. And Le'Veon Bell did get a development upgrade to be a 92 overall, superstar X Factor. And everyone else here, I don't really see a development upgrade. But other than that, let's face this Kansas City Chiefs team that did beat the San Francisco 49ers this year. And this will be a great matchup, so let's get into it. Now into the second quarter, it is 7-6 as we are driving down the field, 6-10, 9-10, 17-9, and we choose to do another field goal and we miss it, and Chiefs go down and score. It's 12-17, and I'm gonna hop in here and make sure we get this dub. Now, as you can see, it's 4th and 10, 4 seconds left. We are up 23-15. They're not going to win this game. I'm going to send heat at them and just keep rushing them with the spread formation of pinch buck. The CPU doesn't know what to do. Dropping back Fred Warner, they're not going to get that. That will be your ball game as the San Francisco 49ers beat the Kansas City Chiefs. And the final year for this rebuild, 15-23, as Sean McVay is now the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs, and he can't believe it. So other than that, let's look at the MVP. Looking into the MVP, we have Le'Veon Bell here, 117 yards, 1 touchdown, 15 was his longest carry with 28 carries. So other than that, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this rebuild. And as you guys can see, we did win the Super Bowl, and that was the main goal of the rebuild, within 4 years to build the team and win the Super Bowl. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And also, before we end this out, if you guys are in the comments telling me, oh, this, that, I had a bunch of comments about Dak Prescott being a good quarterback in my Cowboys rebuild. If you guys have something to say, just like, I don't care, is what I'm basically going to say. I don't care if you think Dak Prescott is a good quarterback or not. I'm just saying, in my opinion, he's a bad quarterback. Don't tell me his stats are better than Carson Wentz. I know they're better than Carson Wentz, but I still would rather have Carson Wentz either way. So other than complaining and whining about how Dak Prescott is a bad quarterback, I will see you guys in the next video, and comment down below which one you want to see. So other than that, guys, I will see you guys.